Hey, I'm Yosha, and once again, thank you for your lovely company here. Well, do you ever wonder why relationships on Earth is so complicated? Why it fails more than the success rate? Because, anyways, this world was not meant to be perfect, and genuinely, whatever the people are doing, they're still doing amazing job. Because the nature of this planet so far hasn't been a favorable one. We keep fluctuating always. But anyhow, I was just wondering that how many people we come across who still harbor so much anxiety, so much self-worth issues, so much insecurities because they're not with their partners anymore. Firstly, I'd want to say ease up, because if you had the grace of experiencing an amazing relationship and you're not in one anymore, well, here's why. As I always say in my previous videos, unless you learn the lesson, you keep manifesting the same situation over and over and over again into your life until and unless you learn the lesson. Probably at the time, the one that I'm addressing this to, you or your partner split up, you don't see the workings of the universe, because a lot of things, how we view them is very temporary and very linear. It's not in our understanding. But someone, it could be you or your significant other, one of you left because it was time. It was almost time. Or it could even be because both of you have your individual lessons to be learned, and probably your lessons are not together. There's so much more to life. And how do we learn? Apparently, down here on earth, this is how we learn. We transmute pain and healing and trauma, and that's how we grow. Or probably one of you weren't vibing. Probably you were not in alignment with each other, and it had to go for a reason. Now there's no point in sitting down blaming yourself or blaming the other person or the situation, or even saying things like you'll never do it again. Well, I get it, it's a process. Once you're out of the process, obviously your heart is more open, and again your walls are down and you're more vulnerable, but it's genuinely not nobody's fault. Because one way of looking at this is, to the one I'm addressing right now, obviously you, I'm talking to you. So if you hold a lot of resentment towards your partner, that he or she left, well, if you honestly look, the real nature of love is to let go. And I myself took such a long time to understand this concept, but it's true. If you really are into someone, isn't it for you to want their happiness, even if it meant going away from you? If that's what they wanted, even if it hurt you so much, you'd probably do that, because you know that person has to grow. If your lessons are not together once again, and if that person has to move on and grow on their own individual path, you have to do that. That's where the true nature of love stands. You let go. It's not like you're just this person and you you box this person up and you hold them so tight, and you're like, you're choking them. Or probably they did the same to you. It goes either ways. You just have to let go. I know it hurts. I know it's never an easy process, but it's almost like, what would you do if they weren't happy with you? And for anyone that is not in a stable relationship, and you know you get very less than what you give, and this is something that is making you uncomfortable over and over, you have to know this thing, that when someone's really into you, the fears won't matter. They will openly claim you. The place, the people, their circumstances, it wouldn't matter. They will be brave for love and go ahead and choose you. And if it's not happening, that there is a red flag, you'd have to watch out. Because there's no point for you or for anyone to spend years or months of their lives not even knowing what is the next thing. You don't want to spend your life in uncertainty. As I say, someone who is really into you, they will make sure they find a way. Because when you start loving something so deeply, it's in your core, you don't even have to try so much. You know now, you feel it, that this is where you're supposed to be. This is who is meant for you, and you will feel it in your being completely, that there's no other way but to be with that person, and eventually the way will be found. And for anyone that has been abandoned, some people leave without saying. They ghost you, or they push things for years and then just vanish into mid-air, right? And this is usually the thing that comes to an individual's mind. One, you go into victim mentality, thinking that you're lost and you have wronged and you weren't enough and you didn't do well, that someone left. But do you ever see it in this perspective, that whoever ghosted you may have their own issues that they're running from? Because they don't trust themselves. They don't love themselves. Probably deep down they're hurting for some reason. And that all of that is reflected onto you. How do you expect someone to be with you when that person is emotionally not even responsible for themselves? Someone who is not willing to grow, do the work, is actually not the ideal one. You should forget about it. Because there's no point. Because if someone is always running from themselves, their reflections, their emotions, and they are in a victim mentality that bad things always happen to them, and somehow everyone is just going to destroy them, and hence they push you away. But do you see this? That you somewhere sitting are thinking that it's all your fault. But look at it this way, it isn't. It just is not fair that you would blame yourself, because it isn't your fault. Nowhere, not close, because you know how much you've given. that person, if you've been in an abusive now does not only mean physical abuse, emotional abuse. If you've been deprived of your emotions, if you've been manipulated, if you've been abandoned, if you've been ghosted, the moment they start claiming you, they would have to look at their own shadows, because now there's no other way for them but to stand in front of you and be in this vulnerable place, but they're not good at doing that, and so they run. There are people who go on decades doing this. One person is usually the runner, the other person is usually the victim mentality person, for no reason. But this is not anybody's fault, because this is not taught to us around. Usually they put us in a complicated relationship dynamics, but that's not how it works. And this is exactly why I say you need to go inwards to see what's happening. It's just that they're running away because they're scared. They're not scared of you, that you're a ghost, or no. They're scared of themselves, their shadows, their reflections, that for ages they haven't confronted themselves. Imagine if, and this is pretty common, well, I'll go into this. If that person has already been hurt by someone else and they did not heal, they when they meet you, they come in with their emotional baggage from the past. And what they're doing exactly is reflecting all of the emotions they felt there onto you. If someone hurt them, if someone betrayed them, if someone walked off from their lives, now they are going to be so guarded, they're going to be so caged and shielded, that they think this next person is going to do the same thing, and hence I will not get close to them. Yes, I do like them, but I won't get close to them, so I don't have to confront my shadows, so that I'm safe in my zone, and I won't let anyone close to me, so that they don't hurt me. And probably if they had taken a moment to see, to heal, and to get out of that, and then being like, let's give this new thing a new approach, a new perspective, and see, that will work out for you. But if they're coming in with baggage and their own traumatic experience, then forget about it. That, and if you are somewhere sitting down crying thinking you're a victim to this whole betrayal, to this whole abandonment, to this whole, it breaks your heart so much, right, on different levels. Especially if you have stayed there for so many years and someone just left. No one can describe it. Well, here is why, because they, in their heads, are already victim to their past. Hence, they act like narcissists and manipulators and all of this emotional abuse and emotional deprivation and all of that. It's all coming from that place. And now you feel like a victim because you're sitting there thinking, I gave so much, and this person just does not even get it. Getting it is like too much. I mean, they don't even like see it, acknowledge it, sense it. It's not even in their senses that someone would be giving them so much, giving so much of their lives. That's because they haven't taken a moment to realize where they are in their lives and how they haven't healed. It's like little kids, children, literally. Unless you want to grow and look at yourself, that's how they shield themselves. And it's not your fault. I know how much it would hurt for someone to give so much, and be left with not, forget about the words, I mean, to be left with not even closures. Like, it's horrible. And so wherever you are and whenever this reaches you, I want you to know this, that you have to be proud. If not proud, I mean, you have to be glad that you had a chance to know yourself better, to know how much you could give, and probably the amount of affection you've given someone you had never even thought in your life that you could give so much. So kudos to you, right? Kudos to you that your being is so amazing and so giving and so elaborate. I mean, celebrate that, because now you know how how deep you went, and now you know how amazing and powerful you are. So do not take on others' shadows, because someone who runs from their own shadows is no good for anyone, not even to that person, unless they have the courage to look at themselves and come clean. Otherwise, it's like a recipe for disaster. They're going to ghost you, they're going to let you down. You'll see all of these things. You will notice this. We humans, we just sense this, right? You quietly know when you're the one that's giving and giving. You feel this. This is your red flag. You have to start noticing this right from the beginning. And do not give into somebody's shadows or their narcissism or how they manipulate you time to time, day to day. And it's not that they're the bad people, they're definitely not. If you actually went in, it's kind of sad that they feel so much pain that they run from themselves. But obviously it's not it's not for you to take. It's for no fault of yours. And hence, get your head out of this thing that you've done anything, or you've done something wrong, or you haven't given enough, because that's not fair, because that's not the truth. And not to say that if you know you could give someone so much, don't you think, or aren't you aware that there are amazing people on this planet who are just like you, or even more amazing, who can give you? Watch out, you're an amazing being, and do not settle for less because someone told you, because something looks good, something feels good. You know genuinity, you know truth, you know honesty and integrity and understanding. Someone that wants you will claim you no matter what. Do not fall prey for this and spend years of your life in this ditch. It's not for you, my love. Your life is very precious and amazing. Go live that. And I love you as always. Thank you.